There is a hidden superpower that you can use with your spiritual gifts, with your spell casting, and in any practices you have that will amplify the outcome of what it is you are seeking. Whether it's transformation, change, magic, growth, any of the above, this one hidden superpower will change your entire experience. And I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about it. And hello, if you're new to my channel, my name is Tahverlee. I'm a high priestess, a practicing witch, an author, and the founder of the Moon Temple Mystery School, where we dive into the ancient mysteries in a practical way, which means how we can use spells, rituals, ritual magic to support and foster our own sense of desires and freedom. And you can always subscribe to find out more or visit me at moontempleschool.com for all the information. But today I have a hidden superpower that I want to walk you through because it's underutilized. And it may have been stripped away from you at some point when you were growing up as being fanciful or not real. And that is your imagination. So what if the pictures in your mind that your imagination comes up with, what if they can be the blueprints for the reality that you're creating? And if that doesn't make sense to you, then let's step it back a bit and let's revisit this idea that if you're watching me on this channel, then you know that I talk about this a lot, that our beliefs and our thoughts are creating everything that we experience. What if we infuse our thoughts and our beliefs with possibility? And we do that through our imagination. It's a powerful, powerful tool. You can start right now by just closing your eyes and envisioning a bright sphere of color, maybe something in a rainbow, something like you might see if you were to use a bubble wand and blow a bubble out into the air. You know how they're iridescent and kind of hollow, but yet real. Hold that vision in your mind. And now, picture yourself in your mind's eye, in your imagination, sitting in the center of that ball and it's floating. Just hold that for a few moments. Now that right there, that's your imagination creating a bubble of protection. And you might never have seen a human floating around in a little rainbow color bubble. But it's how we create some of the most powerful protection rituals as we put ourselves in that bubble that has some iridescent see-through parts to it. That right there, you just used your imagination to create something. Now, the actual ritual to do that is way more detailed than what I just gave you. But I wanted you to understand that this is the power of your imagination. And it's not pretend. It's the oldest magic known to humans. Imagination is not for children, not just for children. And it's not a distraction. Daydreaming is a powerful ritual in itself because it opens doors of possibility that your human, day-to-day mundane world does not allow. And so if we want something different in our lives and we're either manifesting or releasing or changing, but we can't actually see a doorway or a possibility for that, it's really hard for it to come into our physical reality. We have to be able to see it and feel it for it to happen. And a lot of times, the things that we really desire, that we're trying to use our spell work for, is not something we've experienced before. So we don't have the exact blueprint for how that will roll out in our lives or how it will feel or how it will know. So we have to call in our imagination. As an example, I can tell you that when I first started this podcast years ago, it wasn't video, it was just audio. I didn't know anybody else doing a podcast. I didn't have any examples of what to fill my, my visioning work, my spell casting, my ritual work for. I didn't have a an example to use. Now I could go research it and look at other shows and listen to other shows, and that helped create the building blocks of my imagination. But we are also unique that we see it and want it a little bit differently. So I had to tap into my imagination and let it create all these crazy ways in which it could, help me grow as a human, help me unlock my voice, help me do what it is that I was aiming to do to be of service with these teachings. And if I didn't use my imagination, I would have closed all the doors that were open to me. In fact, the idea of it was beyond what I could have ever imagined only happens when our imagination is open. Now, you might not be able to imagine all possibilities that you don't even know could come. You might not know that. But just allowing your imagination in, it's like, let it be a player at your table. Let it be a part of everything you do. Your readings, your spells, your rituals, your desires, your goals. Make a place at the table for your imagination. And let your imagination actually be the road opener, the door opener. So if we were to remember that we cannot create something that we cannot envision, then you have to rely upon your imagination. And here's the thing. Imagination is ancient. Long before we had the word for it, our ancestors knew this as visioning or dreaming or calling in the unseen into form, although they would not have used those words. And in temples and in fire circles and in moonlit groves amongst the forest, the ancient peoples would use their ability to collectively imagine an outcome they desired or imagine the knowledge they needed to know to come through them. And sometimes divination or wisdom or intuition or our spiritual gifts come to us as if it is something we imagined. That's the second piece of it. When your imagination is open, you are able to be imprinted with your spiritual gifts, giving you knowledge that you didn't know exists. And sometimes it's wild. Because if we're allowing our imagination a seat at the table in everything we do, and we're giving it its own space and its own time, then it's going to feel mysterious to you. You're not going to be able to pinpoint, oh, well, I don't know anything about that. I don't know where that came from. That's your imagination being a bridge between your spirit and your human self. It flows that way, and we flow outward, meaning we can receive through our imagination and we can use our imagination. They are twofold. And this podcast example for me was so important, because when I got the download or the spiritual hit to start a podcast, I was a little bit surprised. I wrote it out. It came to me in like a channeled session, and I did a reading about it for myself using, I don't remember if I used a tarot or an oracle deck, but I remember a big card spread. And I remember looking at it after, and it was like the message was, this is fated. But I didn't even know really what it meant. The word podcast at that time had never even been in my field. I didn't have any equipment. I didn't know what a recording unit or a mic or all the cords, a lighting, I knew nothing. And yet it dropped into my field, and I let it because my imagination was open. And I also know that when something comes through my imagination or comes through my spiritual gifts, and it comes with the feeling in my body that this matters, I don't ignore it. I had learned by then to not ignore it. So imagination works two ways. It's an open conduit. It's an open doorway. And this truly is a superpower. If you think back into ancient times, hunters would use their imagination to picture the perfect hunt for their tribe. Even if they didn't know what animals they would cross, even if they didn't know who would make the kill, even if they didn't know what the weather would be, they held the visualization of how it would be perfect. And there are lots of ancient rituals, actually, that go along with those types of magic that were done in early days of humanity to support how they wanted it to go. We see it today. Professional athletes, or even myself, when I do bigger public speaking gigs, I initially hold and let my imagination formulate exactly how I want it to go. Because if we can see it and we can imagine it, then we can create it. If we can't see it and we can't imagine it, we cannot create it. That's why this is a superpower. In rituals, we don't just speak the words, we need to live them. We can hold the vision of a candle flame and see ourselves holding that visual of that candle flame a year from now. After all of our intentions, all of our creations have come to work, and we can see ourselves in a different place celebrating. Maybe the candles are on a cake celebrating. Maybe the candle is in a new place you desire to live. Maybe the candle is, across the table from a lover. That's all allowing your imagination, and you can do it. You can support it by lighting a candle now. That's an example. There are many ways to do it, and if you were to think about it as bending reality to open the doors that you desire through your imagination, I promise you every ritual, every spell, every practice that you do will change. And you're going to find yourself bumping up against the barriers of, I don't know how to imagine this because I haven't experienced it and I don't know anybody else who has. Sometimes that's the case. And my suggestion is do a bunch of research. Look at other examples. So if you're envisioning a perfect relationship with a new friend or a new partner, and you don't have that, and your family doesn't have that, and you don't have experience of that, go find examples of it. Search online, watch movies. Let it flood your imagination with possibilities. And don't try to limit them to what you think is reality. That's not the seat we're bringing to the table. We're not bringing a reality seat to the table. We're bringing an imagination seat to the table, and we're letting it run. Let your imagination run. And from there, it's really important to track it, whether you write it down or you visualize, like you video yourself visualizing it, speaking it. And I want you to know that when your imagination is turned up and has a seat at the table of everything that you do, you become dangerous. Because we live in a society that does not want you to imagine a future that's anything different than what you've been fed to believe. The powers that be that want to control the humans, they want you to imagine the box they've given you. Here, we're going to give you, this is how you should live. This is how you should find success. This is how you should handle your medical. This is how you should work. This is the cap you should have. This is how you fall in line. Here, take our instructions. When you squash that and you allow your imagination to create that for you, then you're living by different rules. And when you live by different rules, that's when magic is really present. That's when your spells and your rituals create anything that you desire. That's when influence comes just from your thoughts alone, because you have the power of imagination. So I want you to think about it. What was the last spell, ritual, or goal that you created? What was that? Let's think for a moment. Is there something that you put together that you desired or you wanted to remove or you wanted to see changed? Have you given yourself the time and the space to imagine that specific outcome in detail? Your imagination should and can include all of your senses, all of your human senses. You can bring in a sense of smell, a feeling in your belly or in your body or in your heart, or a feeling of release around your throat, or a feeling of contentment, joy, freedom, lack of stress, lack of not carrying that weight anymore. If you can allow your imagination to bring in all these senses to picture what that's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, you're already starting to bend reality. So I want you to start considering, how can you bring imagination into all of your planning? No matter if you cast spells or not, no matter if you set goals or not, no matter if you just meditate, whatever it is that you do, can you make imagination your partner? I was going to say partner in crime, but let's say partner in magic. And rebuilding imagination back into your life after it's been conditioned out of you to stay in reality, to be more realistic, it's going to take time. It's going to take time for you to have a partner of imagination. And if you've done work to bring your spirit guides in and you're working with different spirit teams, trust me, they will also use your imagination to get through to you. They will say, "Oh, you're thinking about this thing? You want this thing? And you don't know what's possible? Here, I'm going to just like plant this in your body, all of these other doors of possibility, and it's going to come through your imagination." Another really amazing way to use imagination, and I love doing this. It's my favorite thing to do other than daydreaming. You can daydream, but to create an imagination journal that holds the topics of the things that you desire that you may or may not have put spells behind yet, but just like you're writing a fiction story, but the story's true. It's like a true lie. It's true. You haven't experienced yet, but it's true because you've imagined it. If you've imagined it, then it's true for you in terms of what's possible. So create an imagination journal where you write out every detail of everything you've ever desired and you let all of your imagination come into play. I also wrote down what I think is a very powerful chant or mantra you can use when you do imagination work or when you bring it in as your partner in creative power. I am the dreamer and the dream. I am the seer and the seen. My imagination is the wand, the flame, the cauldron. What I see, I create. And so it is. Carry this with you and invite your imagination to be your partner in your magic, in your rituals, in your life. And it sits within your body. Your imagination isn't just visual, it's a feeling. It can be hearing, it can be smelling. You can base your imagination upon what you know to be true. You can base it upon things you've researched and found, or you can just take all the parameters off and let it go wild. And let the spirits come in and guide you and fill your body with the things that you have not known are possible yet until you invited your imagination to the table. This is powerful. And I would love a comment from you if you're going to bring imagination into your practice. And if you have not yet noticed that the doors to the High Priest and the High Priestess path are open, you should check it out. The doors close on October 1st. If you haven't looked, look, this is the next cohort and it's the most powerful teachings we have in Moon Temple Mystery School. And I hope to see you there. Bye for now.